So when you think about changing chords as a beginner, you might think of one of the songs I first started out with, which was Knocking on Heaven's Door, which is where when you're changing chords, there's open strings happening to make the whole thing work. But how about a song where it's mostly simple downstrokes and then you can focus on the changes? So that's what I thought we would check out, which is Run Around Sue, and this isn't as good of an angle as I first had. And you think, typically when you think of the D chord, you think of just strings 4, 3, 2, 1. But I just listened to the record slowed down to half speed, and what I heard was 5 strings. I heard this. Here's my story. That's what I heard. So I'm just going to talk the lyrics. Sad but true. He goes to B minor. So let's look at that change. D to B minor. D. Well, these two fingers are coming up, landing as the thumb goes to the back of the neck. And you're making sure to strum from string 5. This is the 1950 Gibson. And then again, he just, whoever the guitar player is, about a girl that I once knew. Now notice the change to G. See that? And you're just strumming all 6 strings. Took my love and ran around. Not great singing there. Try it again. Took my love and ran around. A. Notice the change from G to A. I'm moving backwards. G to A. And this is a 3/4 guitar, so I gotta make sure this is the A where all the hands are stuffed into 1 fret. Not to mention it's a 3/4 guitar, so it's tricky. Guy in town. See that ringing out? That's what you want there, clarity. And then you're going back to this D. You're doing 4 strums, really. Let's see. And I should note one other thing is that your pick choice does make a difference. I'm not crazy about the fact that this material here, this, what is it called, grip material, can actually touch the string sometimes, but got some other options here too. Whoa, remember the switch? Is it not focusing? Try to get this in focus here. Yeah, should I know it from the very start? With the broken heart. Listen, people, I'm telling you. So I'm hitting it and then I'm muting with this hand. So the idea is to play chords that you're comfortable with, and you gradually get comfortable with them, because there's chords that I'm not comfortable with. And that's why it's always helpful to slow a song down to half speed. Away from a run around Sue, yeah. My miss her lips and a smile on her face. Touch of her hair on this girl's warm embrace. So if you don't wanna cry like I do, run around Sue, yeah. Now also, when I say muting, that's a rest. And when I say you're playing, you might start with songs like Knocking on Heaven's Door. That's because it's very continuous. It's basically the same thing over and over again. I'd have to review the record, but it's like, we're not even going to get into Knocking on Heaven's Door right now, but this has different stops in it, and a lot of the rock and roll songs I play do. So that means you have to be aware of when you're playing your D chord strumming from string 4. Making sure that your fretting hand is making the thinnest string ring out. That's clear. See, before that it wasn't clear. And that fingernail's getting more too. So that's, and then that, beware of that too when you're letting go. Like if this was the harmonica, this would be your embouchure. This is your technique. That's clear. Okay, on the G chord. Love you and she'll put you down. People let me put you wise. It's just downstrokes. She go out with other guys. So there's nothing really. Your main thing to focus on is your timing and making sure the changes are clear. Story from the guy who knows. I fell in love and my love still grows. Asking the fool that you ever knew. Say, away from a run around Sue, yeah. Keep away from this girl. Let's try that. Keep away from this girl. I don't know what you'll do. Keep away from A. She likes to travel around. Yeah, she'll love you and she'll put you down. Now people let me put you wise. Sue goes out with other guys, and the moral and the story from the guy who knows. I fell in love and my love still grows. Ask any fool that she ever knew. Say, keep away from a run around Sue, oh yeah. Stay away from that girl. He's just bare bones strumming at the end. I don't know what you'll do now. Whoa, 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 whoa. Stay away from that girl. Don't you know what she'll do now? So those are changes you can consider with this tune. D to B minor to G to A. So let's see. Here's your D chord. Strings 4, 3, 2, 1. I want a B minor. You want to make sure the thumb is on the back of the neck. Make sure you have a bar here, the first finger. Make sure that your hand positioning is round, so to speak. Try picking individual strings. And your G. The G is probably the easiest out of all of them because The challenge with the D is strumming from the fourth string. You don't want to miss and just leave out the fourth string. That wouldn't be right. You need this. And although at the beginning of the song I hear 5 strings, generally when you're strumming, you're going from the fourth. So the G is generally the easiest. And with the A, you're muting the thickest string, but also with the A, it's tricky to stick all your fingers in here in one fret, particularly with the 3/4 guitar. So I'd say the G is the one you think about the least. But you can still pick out individual strings. There's different ways to play the G, like when I'm playing Knocking on Heaven's Door recently, I played it this way, muting this string. Also, the thing with the 3/4 guitar is this, there's less slack on the strings. So that's a little bit different. So like when I'm doing the finger style stuff, I don't want to start bending, but there's not as much resistance. So you have to account for that. I don't know if we could look at this other hand. This would be helpful to you. This angle. That's a pretty nice angle. Cute little angle. Now this might be showing you how to change chords because guitar is a two-handed affair after all. So I told you when the song starts, I hear this. I hear 5 strings and I listen to it several times. Now for your B minor, I would say the ring and the pinky go down first, and then your middle finger and your finger that's making the bar, your index, those kind of land at the same time. So then you're picking from string 5. G. And then A. So if you're just thinking about the 4 strums, get comfortable with that, then get comfortable with 4 strums on B minor. Comfortable with 4 strums on G. That's a thunderous tone from this one. 4 strums on A. And there's some songs where you have to worry less about bar chords and which string you're picking from or whatnot. Like Knocking on Heaven's Door, like I said, the first real one where you're thinking about changing chords. G, D, A minor, G, D, C. That wouldn't have any bar chords in it. But what it's got is that open string element. Even like the Everly Brothers stuff has a lot of open strings. Like a... See, that's open strings. And that you can actually literally hear that in the record. And you can hear that in multiple parts of the song, in different parts of it. those records are really what I think of when I think of that. Run Around Sue is in that vein too. So, and as many other teachers tell you, so if you encounter that where a song isn't like Run Around Sue, where it's kind of straightforward, stuff like that, the open strings don't feel bad about that, because otherwise it'll be way too jerky to try to change chords without having that, and you can literally hear it. That's why I always advise slowing things down. If you slow down Bye Bye Love to half speed, you'll hear. If I was to exaggerate it, try to exaggerate it. Right? So that all these things help you change chords. First, you need to be comfortable with the chords. Like there's this new song I'm working out, Born to Cry, and it's got a lot of minor chords in it. Just changes I don't often. Chords I'm very familiar with. But it's not just about what chords you're familiar with, it's about the changes. Are you familiar with the changes? Are you familiar with going from D minor to A minor? I think that's one of the ones in Born to Cry. I'm gonna have to review it. But see, these other Dion songs is what I wanted to mention about these. These are part of what I call the McDonald's playlist. So these are songs I've heard hundreds of times, or more than that. Whereas Born to Cry is a Dion song that I just discovered when I was listening to this interview called Heroes, where he talks about Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and all of these legends, Johnny Cash, and many more, the Everly Brothers. It's an amazing interview. He talks about his own heroes. And basically, he mentions this song as Born to Cry as Johnny Cash liked this song of his called Born to Cry, and I somehow had missed this. And I immediately looked it up. But the singing, the problem is when I haven't heard the song so many times, I can't sing it as well because I just haven't heard it as many times. And this is like, someone wrote a comment on that video, Born to Cry, saying, this is the death metal version of Lovers Who Wander. And it does have some amazing singing, and it's crazy. So that, I'm going to tab that out someday. But in other words, the songs I've heard more, I'm more comfortable with, because I just know them. And I would prefer to make a video on the stuff that I've heard more. But yeah, you still have to keep learning, which I'm doing. I'm actually learning brand new fingerstyle piece. I'll show you as far as I got with it, but I probably shouldn't. But something like this. Here it is. You're following my in-state, you know that? Yeah, I want to play that on this. I mean, record it. That's just the beginning part. There's a whole other part. I want to wait till I get it down and get it in time, because that's not That's not accurate, but that's a little taste of something new. It's in the vein of a lot of this other stuff like that I used to play. I still play. I'm just saying those songs that you can stand alone fingerstyle songs is what I really can always pull out at any time. I've got so many of them. That's one of them. That's another one. And then it starts going. So it's like you have to build up this big repertoire, and changing chords is not built upon fingerstyle. Fingerstyle is built upon picking out notes. So changing chords involves the pick. Let's get back on track. That involves the pick. I mean, you could play with your thumb too, if you wanted to remove the pick element. But the pick provides a nice challenge too. And then you're not going to get the same sound without using a pick. Yeah, I definitely recommend using it. I'm going to look back at this one. I like to position this so that you can at least see the nut of the guitar and have it at least in focus, just as a reference point. But when you're playing here and when you're with all your open chords that you're used to, you have to master all these chords. I mean, your D, your G, your A minor, your C. So your E, and eventually you get your E7, your A7, your D7, G7. And as I said, there's different ways to even play the G so that you can change your chords easier. Like this is, you can call this a rock G, where you have all 4 fingers. And look how much easier it is to get to the D this way. See this? When your fingers are, see that? So here's your G with all 4 fingers, right? Now to switch to D, it's almost effortless. See that? Make sure you pick it out, each individual string. See, you can tell that was off. That's the culprit. That's what you got to be aware of. A lot of it comes down to your posture, the way you're looking at the guitar. If you're slouched, the fretboard's rolled over, how can you expect your technique to be on point? Make sure also you're fretting right behind the fret. You gotta also consider when I first started playing, it was really just the E minor chord. And messing around with the E minor chord, that was like my main thing. It's just playing E minor. Isn't that funny? But that is something to keep in mind, though, this 4 fingers. The thing is, with me, I don't do that very often. this folk style G very often either. Call it the Bob Dylan G, where, like I said, you mute this. It does serve a purpose too. Of course, the fifth string completely muted, but you're just strumming as normal. But that doesn't provide you the benefit of having all four fingers down and then going to the D this way. But honestly, I avoid both of those, and unless I'm playing a specific song where it suits it, which that can definitely be the case. But generally, I'll go for the way I started playing. The thing is, certain songs benefit more from different fingerings of chords, basically. You have to use your own discretion about that. And that's why it helps to have the knowledge of these things. I hope I told you a couple of tips that'll help you. Or give you some food for thought. And there's easier changes too than like the B minor and everything. There's the oldies progression. G to E minor to C to D. See that? That's easy. 4 strums. What am I doing there? Strumming down on the G. Now look at how you get to the E minor. Effortless. These 3 fingers come off, and your second finger goes right under the first one. Now to get to the C, ring finger comes up, and the whole thing turns sideways. And then you make your C chord shape. The biggest struggle with this is playing the D and seeing if you're actually strumming from the 4th string. And then just go back to G. So see if you can hear whether or not I'm strumming from the 4th string and on the D chord. So far, so good. Going good. Also, I should note see the difference between this and this and this? But you should notice the thumb. Right? There's things happening with the thumb. Notice, now pay attention to the thumb here. The G chord, the thumb is hanging back. Right? E minor is hanging back. C chord, the thumb creeps in. As soon as the fingers turn sideways, the thumb creeps in. Do you see that? To mute the thickest string. And then the thumb stays there. And it comes off. And stays, see? So this is very subtle things you have to pay attention to if you want to sound like you know what you're doing. Because once you add in the strumming patterns and whatnot, it's not going to be as simple as just down, down, up. I mean, as 4 strums is not going to sound as clean if you don't have the changes. See, because when that happens, your timing has to be spot on. That's why when I started the video out, I started out with this song where it's very unique song. It's just got kind of, you got to keep the beat going, you keep the groove going. But if you can do that and you master the chords, there's not a whole lot of ways it goes wrong, you know, in terms of, I mean, listen to all the space. Actually, it starts with the fifth. Here's my story, sad but true. You got all the time in the world to go to B minor. About a girl that I once knew. All that time, you can even mute it. Took my love, ran around. Mute. I mean, how much more time could you ask for? This is for beginners. Every single guy in town. And you still, hey, there you can get the four strums. See, now you can up, lop, 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 whoa. Still, it's just down. And that kind of suits the song. If you're muting, you want to make it sound pleasing like that, but it's hard to tell you how to do it. It's like trying to make someone's tone of voice sound pleasing, but it is part of the song, the percussive element, you know, when you hit the guitar. And you don't know when that is. It's not hard to do. And if you're starting out, you can look at the strings, but like for example, starting out, you want to look down, make sure you're getting it, but you don't want to get in bad habits of that. You know, going like, because ultimately you can't look at both hands at the same time. You want kind of to look at your fretting hand and look at the audience, and have the picking hand almost like it's in your peripheral vision. You know, your picking hand is not your primary focus. That's the tough part as beginners. You know, that's why you master certain chords. You'll feel comfortable with certain chords. I have no problems picking up any guitar at any time and going. Even if you hit that fifth string, that's what you want there. 4, 3, 2, 1. But isn't it interesting? It took me slowing down this song. I've never heard that it's 5 strings, that first chord he plays. I always just went like this. And there is something to be said for slowing things down. But that's some food for thought, you know? As I said, I had no problem picking up the guitar. This is laid out. This progression is practiced. And once you get comfortable with progression, you got to start doing more that you're not comfortable with. start transcribing more songs. Because you really can't play the things you're comfortable with forever. And I use a lot of the songs I know as a foundation for other lessons and whatever, but believe you me, I'm working on other songs in the background all the time. Such as this, like I told you, Born to Cry, and like this new finger style. Actually, that has a percussive element when you hit the strings. So, like I said, slow things down. I got that mixed up with an old turnaround. But there's a lot more to that. I just don't want to get into it right now. One of the parts is a crazy bend. That's where it happens there. Some Johnny Cash twangy stuff, basically, coming soon. I'm just not sure which guitar I'm going to record it on. I do like this part, the beginning part. Basically, I have the beginning part down a lot more than the whole thing. That's like a classic blues move. You'll hear that all the time. Alright guys, 1950, Gibson is calling it quits, I think, today. I wanted to make a video with no editing. That was my plan. Maybe I'll just have a little jam for myself after this, because I didn't feel like doing the shorts. Basically, I've uploaded shorts to this other channel of just me talking about some things on my mind, and they got hundreds and hundreds of views. And these videos here, these shorts get no views, and I'm just sick of it. Sick of the algorithm, sick of whatever's happening with the algorithm, what to do with me and on this channel. Because this is the one I care about, and yada yada, you've heard it all before. But we're approaching 40 minutes now, so I think I'll call it quits. I showed you both hands, gave you some tips. Stay away from that girl, don't you know what she'll do? Yep, that's that, right? That's that. Better quit out, because otherwise it'll take too long to upload.